Tiffany and Brad with Years of Years, and it's This Day in Disney for December 14th. And today we are talking about a very special film that was released on this day in 1961, Babes in Toyland.
Yes.
Yes.
Really one of my favorite. You know, a lot of my memories of Disney films begin with Walt Disney Home Video, and this was one of the ones that was in the white clam case with the red and yellow stripes on it, just the early video releases, and this was one of them that I would get maybe 2 to 3 times a year. So I loved it.
Yeah, awesome. What do you mean you get it?
Rented
it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Rent it and bring it home.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, it wasn't even Blockbuster at that
right,
point.
probably something else.
Little tiny mom and pop shop.
Shops.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Get your DVD rentals.
Well, VHS, and we even had Beta. So we had Beta for a little bit.
That's cool. We never had Beta in our house. We just went straight to the old DVD or VHS player. But,
yeah, we had Beta for just a few months, and then they switched to VHS.
Ah, yeah. So this was an American Technicolor Christmas film.
Yeah, and you know, the fact that you say Technicolor is very real. I mean, there are parts, like with the toy maker and his shop, that are extremely psychedelic, 8 years before Haight-Ashbury. I mean, you can really see a lot of early psychedelia in the design.
The 60s.
It really was. And I mean,
it was a lot of fun. It was very colorful.
And Walt was working with Dolly and Huxley and, had projects going. He may have very well been exposed to some of that, those artists and the artistic integrity of that, because the toy shop is psychedelic. It is fantastic. What is coming in just the next few years? You almost wonder if artists and children and people that were in Haight-Ashbury were exposed to Babes in Toyland, a little bit in their artistic definitions and stylings. It's wonderful.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it was, you had Tony Sands as Tom Piper in the lead, male role, and then Annette Funicello as Mary Contrary in the lead female role. And really,
America's sweetheart
is the biggest in the film, and you're just watching her. I feel like it's her story to some degree.
It is.
Yeah.
She was the Ariana Grande of the day, maybe even bigger, way bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, population-wise, hard to say, but percentage-wise.
Well, and she said about this particular friend, what she loved, she got to do all these different dances that she didn't, it was the first time she got to really dance outside of doing the Watusi and the swim.
Yeah.
So,
and it's hard to believe that this film was actually billed as Walt Disney's first musical motion picture. So...
Oh, really?
Really, it was in the trailer. That's what they say.
Sure.
So for whatever reason, they weren't counting Mary Poppins as a full musical feature, but they were counting this one.
Well, there is a lot of singing and a lot of dancing for sure.
Choreography, tons. Yes.
I don't think is there any actual
animation
script? No, where they're just talking.
Very little.
It seems like it just leads into a song.
It does. It's very much of the musical era.
Maybe with the toy maker and his assistant.
Yes.
The toy maker was Ed Wynn, who we talked about in another This Day in Disney.
Yeah.
Well, maybe plug that with this video, because Ed Wynn...
this is one of his main roles. I mean, for sure.
If you don't know who Ed Wynn is and you haven't seen this movie, go watch this and get a good feeling for what they were doing, and then you'll get to see Ed Wynn. But
in this scene, the toy maker shop.
Yeah.
Okay. They use stop motion animation in the March of the Toy Soldiers.
Yeah.
That is the first time this kind of stop animation has been done.
Yeah.
Pre-Rankin and Bass, pre-Nightmare Before Christmas. This was groundbreaking stop motion animation. Yeah. It's wonderful. They even have Tony interacting with his sword and cutting open boxes, stepping into the frame, and then the box falls open. And it's well, how is he there? And how are these giant toys? It had to be quite astonishing.
Because there's a little ray, not a ray, but a gun that shrinks people down, and then also items.
Yeah,
down.
the toy makers assistant is
Right.
quite an inventor.
Yeah.
The toy maker has lost his touch. And
He's
he's
great.
very excited whenever his, inventor's assistant creates this wonderful machine. But he immediately, is trying to make the Christmas goal and, breaks the machine. It's full of so much, zaniness and
Yeah.
a lot of youth culture.
Yeah.
The kids could do it better, but the old are in the way, kind of thing. Just a little bit of that. It's a Mickey Mouse Club,
Well,
alum
interesting enough,
production.
Walt actually really wanted this to be basically a film that was a cartoon brought to life with real people.
I mean,
so.
Mother Goose is very present. The villain in this one is phenomenal and extremely creepy.
Yes.
He is a
Very
true
creepy.
life villain. He is. They explore the predator nature of the villain and the princess more than any other Disney film.
Yeah.
It is uncomfortable. By today's standards, even though we still deal with situations like this, it is much more excused and accepted and laughed at, and it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but this was just a segue into another part of it. This was Victor Herbert's popular operetta from 1903. So that's with the same name, Babes in Toyland. And then also Laurel and Hardy did a Babes in Toyland film in 1934.
And their characterization is present in this film a little bit, referenced in those other two characters.
So this was Disney's second film, the second of this Babes in Toyland, the second film because of Laurel and Hardy, and then this was the first Technicolor of Babes in Toyland. And most of the lyrics and songs were rewritten, and they were drastically changed. The tempo was changed, especially the memorable Toyland song, which was sped up and to be more like a march theme. So later on, the toy soldiers in Christmas parades of all the Disney theme parks had different, they were the toy soldiers. In Babes in Toyland.
And they still feel that way a little bit today.
Yeah.
So celebrate our marching shoulders at Magic Kingdom right now. Their origins in Babes in Toyland.
Right. Well, also Annette Funicello said that this was one of her favorite roles.
Oh, I'm sure.
She just loved this. And
it's Funicello, though.
It's a beautiful Funicello. Sorry. It's a beautiful, I like her in this, and I like the focus on her and the way that she...
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's almost kind of I don't know if it's okay to talk about this, but I think at the time you got Tony, who's an Italian. You got Annette, who's an Italian. Okay? Tommy, who's an Italian, and Annette, who's an Italian. And at the time, it's hard to believe that there were cultural stereotypes against Italian Americans.
Oh, yeah.
And Walt was really doing something.
Yeah.
He really was. And I just don't want to not say it.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Tommy actually said about the film and everything, Ed Wynn really made it such an enjoyable project. He said, I thought he was delightful, and so did everyone else. You couldn't not like him. He was completely crazy, and it was just as crazy off screen as on screen. So that's interesting. But it was all, of course, an act. He was a very serious religious man in his own way, but he loved playing Ed Wynn. And the perfect fool, which we talked about, the complete nut, and he was good at it. Actually, I think the movie is sort of a clunker, especially when I compare it to the Laurel and Hardy Babes in Toyland.
Impossible.
It's not a great film, but it has a few cute moments.
And I'm tired of that.
It's an oddity, but I'm not embarrassed about it like I am about some other movies I made.
Yeah.
So
I will defend this film. It's perfect. It's wonderful. No, I'm not using those words lightly. This is how I feel about it. Other than the villain and the Castle in Spain scene with Annette, which is kind of just a victim of Hugh Hefner era ideologies, this is a great film.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
It really is.
I can't
really
imagine
is.
the level of design and artistry and choreography and costuming and everything and art direction.
Yeah.
This is amazing, and it will stand the test of time after other films are forgotten.
Well,
It'll
and
be
in
remembered.
fact, Annette Funicello actually said, like, it was simply wonderful.
Yeah.
And I love, you know, normally we don't talk about the end of, like, a movie or whatnot, but I really love the wedding scene at the end when Tom Piper and Mary get married, and I love their costumes, and then they get in like a horse-drawn carriage, and it actually like flies into the air, and it like that just makes sense to
One
the whole
could
film.
say, and they just announced like an Enchanted sequel. One could say this is almost in the Enchanted universe, where like they came from. You know,
Yeah.
it's nice.
It's fun. So it's a Christmas film.
It is.
And I encourage you to go watch it if
As
you've
do
seen
I,
it,
obviously.
or if you haven't seen it. But it was lots of fun, and I love Brad's love of this movie too. Isn't he cute?
Oh, stop it.
But anyway, that's it for this day in Disney. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we will see you